KBLA Talk 1580.
We begin top story with late breaking news.
Is it going to succeed, yes or no?
I think it's going to succeed. It's going to succeed.
Can you believe it?
Y'all did it.
KBLA Talk 1580 is about to celebrate its second anniversary on Juneteenth, and no terrible twos around here. We couldn't be more excited about all the good news we'll be announcing soon, including the launch of some new shows to keep giving you more of what you've been looking for.
Come on.
Smart radio for smart people. Hey, it's our celebration, but you get all the gifts. We'll be giving away fresh merch, swag bags, and a chance for you to join the private invitation-only, star-studded music and dance till you drop food and drink galore's second anniversary celebration. To stay in the know about the second anniversary details, download the KBLA Talk 1580 app right now. Don't miss out on your chance to be a winner. At KBLA Talk 1580, when we come forward, we're bringing everybody with us.
Happy anniversary, KBLA!
First things first.
First things first, it's the DU General, Money B. I'ma put you up on the schedule. 6 to 9, 8 weekdays, not 2 and 7. Let's go. We got a lot to talk about, so much to pedal through. Unapologetically progressive. Tune to KBLA 1580 to get the mess. We're your ancestors' favorite radio station. First black on talk radio, left side of the nation. Me and Dominique DePrima go way back. Tag Smiley making sure the station stays black. Discussing all the issues in our community. We're hosted black and brown and others find unity. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the movement. So we tune in. The first things first with the queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DePrima. Go sis.
First things first.
KBLA Talk 1580. Good morning and God bless. I'm Dominique DePrima. The show is First Things First, and my first thing every single day, no matter what, giving thanks, giving praises, asking for blessings from the Most High, asking for the blessings of the ancestors, the elders, and let's go. Let's do this. Hour 1, we look to the local. Hour 2, we go national, international, and beyond. And in the third hour of the show, we do a deep dive with a person or a persons of interest. Today, some persons, yeah, something like that. Anyway, today it is world-renowned economist Dr. Julianne Malveaux. She probably has some insights, progressive thoughts on this whole debt ceiling scenario that you and I just didn't think of because we're not world-renowned economists. Speaking of world-renowned, up in the building is my friend and colleague. She hosts This Is Not a Drill, Saturday mornings, Black Lives Matter show right here on KBLA. She also hosts other things. She is the director of Black Lives Matter Grassroots, lead organizer and co-founder of BLMLA, a mother and a professor at Cal State LA. Dr. Melina Abdullah, good morning.
Good morning, Sister Dominique. Thanks for having me this morning.
Oh, thanks for stepping in the clutch. Yes, I appreciate you. Pastor Shep Crawford was to be with us this morning, but he's a little under the weather. So my homegirl, Melina Abdullah, PhD, stepped up in the clutch, and I absolutely appreciate it. I like to start with what's good, and I know today is hump day, so that means it's protest day for BLMLA every single Wednesday.
Every single Wednesday, and love and prayers to Pastor Shep Crawford. We're doing some really great work together. He has this apology tour that I'm sure he's going to talk with you about, pulling the churches into the work of racial and social justice. So we're really excited about that collaborative work with the churches and with Pastor Shep in particular. Today is protest day. Wednesdays are protest day, and we got a double showing up in person day today. 2 of our folks are being prosecuted for speaking up for unhoused people. This morning, they face their first court date. That's Miss Italy and Richie Sergenko are being prosecuted for showing up and speaking up inside city council They were speaking against kind of a process of criminalizing homelessness, and in the process, they were criminalized. So at 8:30, we'll be at the Criminal Courts Building standing with Richie Sergenko and Miss Italy. And then, of course, this afternoon at 4 o'clock, as Baba Keeley would say, that I can't do it like he does it, but every Wednesday at 4 o'clock, we show up in front of to chant down the LA Police Protective League. I call it the Legion of Doom. And we show up, we chant it down, and we stand with our people. And both Richie and Miss Italy will be there as we talk about, you know, a week after George Floyd's, the anniversary of George Floyd's killing. We are recommitting ourselves to the movement. The movement is not done. It's not over. Black people are being killed at even higher rates than they were 3 years ago by police. And so we can't just go home and bury our heads in the sand. We have to stand up. So we're asking everybody to take a deep breath and then get out into these streets with us today.
That's a full day's agenda, or, you know, folks, and you do what you can. Everyone does their part. It's also Gemini season. I wanted to mention that because there's so many folks celebrating birthdays. My little niece yesterday, my brother Obalaji today. Mine is right around the corner. Ty Lee. You know, we're just chock full of Geminis. Bobo. You know, they're everywhere, especially in radio. Zoe Williams, because we like to talk, so it's normal that we would show up in radio. So happy birthday to you if you are a Gemini, one of the legion of us. It is, it's our season. Got a lot of, you know.
June 4th, Dominique Day. June 4th,
yeah, right,
Dominique
International Dominique Day. You're funny. It has now been proclaimed.
Day. June 7th is Prince Day. June 17th. Is it 17th? Yeah, it's Tupac Day.
I think it's the 16th. I'm pretty sure it's the 16th, but I'm not 100% sure. And in any case, another Gemini. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Anyway. Hey, Doc, have you seen Dear Mama? Have you had a chance to watch it on FX yet? The Afeni Shakur documentary, which is also a lot about Tupac.
I tried to watch it, and
you didn't like it. Oh, you were too sad.
Yeah, I couldn't. I watched one episode, and then I couldn't watch anymore. But lovely and encouraging to see Watani Tahimba featured so prominently, and you know it was very well done, and maybe that's why I can't watch it, because it's so well done. It reminds me of a lot of things. So
yeah, I mean, you guys were friends. You and Tupac. Yeah, so, I knew him, but I knew him more just like in a professional setting more than like, friends. We were, I interviewed him. I believe his first interview, and I just knew him from hip-hop circles. But anyway, I think it's really good. I love the way they mix history with pop culture, because to me, that's going to be part of the solution to the anti-CRT, anti-DEI, anti-ethnic studies movement that these conservatives are steamrolling out in really rapid fashion.
Yeah, I think we have to push back with the telling of truth. They say it's anti-CRT. It is not anti-CRT. They started abbreviating it because they don't even know the term, right? They don't even know what critical race theory is. There's a really good short book, actually, that I'll recommend even for the haters, called Critical Race Theory: An Introduction by Richard Delgado and Gene Stefanich, which gives a really good outline of what is critical race theory, because if you're going to hate on it, you should know what you're hating on. But if you want to push back, you should also know why we're pushing back. Critical race theory isn't even taught in K through 12. It's not even really taught in undergrad. Critical race theory is a legal theory. It's a legal theory that was made popular by people like Kimberly Crenshaw and Derek Bell and others, really what they're fighting is ethnic studies. They're fighting for against truth-telling. They're fighting against a pedagogy that says there are more ways of learning than just reading books. We want you to read books, but we also recognize and value lived experiences and the wisdom of your grandmas and all of those things. They're fighting against an epistemological approach that says that we're developing knowledge not just for the sake of knowledge, but for the liberation of people. And so that's what they're afraid of, and that's what we should be remembering how powerful it is. I don't know if we've ever talked about my own Black Studies journey, but when I talk about my experience with Black Studies, which I was fortunate to go to the only high school in the country at the time with a Black Studies department. Berkeley High School had a whole Black Studies department led by Mr. Richard Navies, and it literally saved my life. And every time I tell the story, all of my Berkeley High School contemporaries, including Money B, right? Ronnie was at Berkeley High at the time too and studied under Mr. Navies. We talk about how important it is and life-changing it was to have a Black Studies department where you could take African American history instead of U.S. history, which of course U.S. history is part of it, but you study the history of Black people and your own people. Instead of regular English, we would take Black Gold English, and that's where I was first introduced to your dad's literature, right? We learned about Amiri Baraka as ninth graders. And it really deepened who we are. We learned about what Mr. Navies called classical Black artists. So every morning we'd walk in the class and he'd drop a needle down on the record player that tells what time we're talking about. And he'd say, now write down your thoughts. And it was a different way of learning. It was a different subject. And that's what the right wing is afraid of, because it's really empowering to students and to an entire community to study yourselves and study your power and know the truth of who you are.
That's right. We are talking with Dr. Molina Abdullah, and you are, as always, invited in as I roll out that red, black, and the green carpet for you for some engagement. 800-920-1580. That's the number. And you're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
The Los Angeles Urban League helps African American and others in underserved communities achieve true social parity, economic self-reliance, and civil rights. For over 100 years, Los Angeles Urban League has ensured our communities have access to careers with living wages, opportunities to start and grow businesses, and clear pathways to personal and professional growth. Programs like BizCamp, Construction Career Academy, Bob Business Ready, and B-Warp. The Black Wealth Attainment and Retention Program are examples of the ongoing events designed to make our centennial mission to rebuild Black Wall Street right here in LA a reality. To sign up for our newsletter or to support the Los Angeles Urban League with your time, talents, and donations, visit laul.org. That's laul.org. The Los Angeles Urban League is a proud sponsor of Urban Family Focus, Saturdays at 7 a.m. on KBLA Talk 1580.
At Lowe's, we're always bringing pros more ways to save. Right now, buy a select Metabo HPT cordless nailer and get a 36-volt 2.5 amp-hour battery free, a $139.99 value. And as a Lowe's MVP, buy select Owens Corning shingles and earn 2 times the bonus points per dollar. Lowe's knows pros. Valid 5/11 through 7/12. While supplies last. Selection varies by location. U.S. only. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any. Valid through 6/1. Subject to change.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you know that these days, generating growth is a challenge. By teaming with Bank of America, you'll not just stay ahead of the curve, you'll move it. With access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2023 Bank of America, N.A.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DePrima right now.
And we are actually joined this morning by Dr. Melina Abdullah, Black Lives Matter Grassroots, BLMGrassroots.org, and Black Lives Matter Los Angeles. I always forget that website. For some reason, I just type in Black Lives Matter Los Angeles in Google.
Is BLMLA.org.
So Tupac is getting a little street named after him in Oakland. A little part of MacArthur Boulevard is now going to be named after Tupac, which is pretty amazing. I guess the city council is set to name the MacArthur Boulevard between Grand Avenue and Van Buren as Tupac Shakur Way. So that would be kind of cool. It's kind of ironic considering what a hard time he got from the authorities while he was living in Oaktown, but still good.
Yeah, it's still good. We want these remembrances, right? I'm excited. My child, Amara, is doing a whole presentation on him, and I do appreciate that, like, the political side of who he is being lifted up. And,
yeah.
It's also lifting up his mom with him, with the documentary, with the Dear Mama documentary. But I think people are starting to understand how powerful he was, not just as an artist, but as an artist who was connected to politics and
right.
really understood the power of what could be.
Honestly, I felt like that's how we got launched into the whole conversation about ethnic studies and such, because to me, one of the ways to fight what we're seeing in the anti-intellectual wave that was, brought back in by the 45th president is stuff like Dear Mom, which is now the most watched premiere for an FX unscripted series. And they've had some bombshells. They've had some huge series. So that means a lot of eyeballs are on this. And there's much history of the Black Panther Party. And this theory that I have, Dr. Abdullah, because a lot of people are discouraged. They say, what came out of the 60s, the 70s, what came out of 2020? And to me, that means you're not really paying attention or connecting the dots, and I always want to fight that. One of the things that I've noticed is that the children of the movement are still doing things, big things, and that's every generation of the movement. Malcolm X's children, Amiri Baraka's children. Chokwe. You got people like Raz Baraka, Chokwe Antar Lumumba. Your kids. You, me, like it's conscious parents create conscious kids most of the time, either that or they turn into Stacey Dash. And so I think that is a much under-celebrated impact of, those of us who went to little freedom schools and teach-ins and grew up at demonstrations. It does change our consciousness. And that's one of the things that I feel like that documentary affirms. It also affirms a few other things that I won't say on the radio because I don't want to be assassinated. But other theories that I had regarding Tupac and his not being with us anymore.
Right. I agree with you. I think that, we were talking the other day about gentle parenting, but I think you're on to something about conscious parenting.
Yeah,
right?
movement parenting, right? Whatever that is.
Right. But I think that's right. I remember making a decision about how to parent my children in the midst of these uprisings. Like when Black Lives Matter was born, and we're about to celebrate our 10-year anniversary, right? So 10 years ago, I remember being a single parent of 3, at that time, little children, right? My children were, I guess, 3, 6, and 9 when Black Lives Matter was born. And Tandiwe, my oldest, who's now 19, will talk about how they remember sitting in corners with a bunch of other little kids and, you know, kind of being present for this birth of Black Lives Matter. And I remember making a decision that there's really no way to teach our children to survive in the midst of violence, oppression against Black people. So the only choice we have as parents, or the only choice I felt that I had as a responsible mother, was to teach my children their own power and how to push back against oppression. So, you know, our parents taught us, my parents taught me kind of a combination of stand up and then how to survive an interaction with police, right? Keep your both hands on your steering wheel, that kind of thing. But that didn't save Dante Wright, right? And that didn't save Trayvon Martin, and it didn't save Riddell Jones. It didn't save Michelle Shirley. No amount of kind of being respectful and looking at the cop but not right in his eyes, or looking at the white man but not right in his eyes. That didn't save Andrew Joseph III. And so there's no amount of shifting the behaviors of Black people that will keep us safe. So we have to teach our children how to change the system, and we have to do that by modeling it. And there was one incident in particular that taught me like the value of that, actually several, but I'm going to talk about one just very quickly that I remember at the end of 2014, beginning of 2015, when we were protesting for Ezell Ford, and we had done this thing called Occupy LAPD, where we had camped out in front of LAPD headquarters. It was our first encampment, and we camped out for 18 days. And there was an incident where an LAPD officer, the LAPD headquarters is supposed to be open 24/7. And so we would go in and out to use the restroom. And my son, who was 3, or 4, I guess at the time, we walked in so he could use the restroom, and an LAPD officer stood in front of this 4-year-old baby boy and told him he couldn't come in, and then put his hand on his gun. And Amen, my baby boy, sits down at the feet of the officer and starts meditating and starts going, at the feet of the officer. This 4-year-old.
He was channeling, Reverend Lawson, right?
Right. But it affirmed for me, like, all of the seeds we were planting, even at 4 years old. He felt like meditation could transform this situation. And so for me, I just think that conscious parenting, movement parenting, is the way that we change the world.
I mean, and movement parenting has its ups and downs, right? I mean, I've been in some situations that I probably wouldn't let my kid be in, but we learned from those too. And that's one of the things I love about and probably not as extreme for, the newer generations, your kids, for example, as opposed to how you were raised, as opposed to how I was raised, and probably as opposed to how, Malcolm X's generation or whatever was raised. But that's part of it too. I mean, it's not really fun to have a cop put his hand on his gun when you're 4. He knew how to cope with it. But that can be a little tough. What did the cop do?
I think he was just bewildered. He didn't do anything. He was almost frozen there, which I guess was Amen's intent.
Amen did a Jedi mind trick on him.
Right.
Yeah, I guess you just don't expect that from a little kid. Let's go to Ronnie calling us from Orange County. Hi, Ronnie. Good morning. Jambo, Ola, Hotep.
Good morning. And I would like to keep a very tight focus and ask the doctor specifically I would like to speak about Dr. C Delores Tucker and her national campaign against Tupac's right to political speech through music. And so I know this is about ladies with a big hat, but if we're going to discuss the other side of a critical race, I think on a black radio station, if you give me, Doctor, your concept on how Tupac had to also deal with Dr. C. Delores Tucker specifically.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you for that question. We know C. Delores Tucker came after Tupac and came after what she thought to be oppressive music, right? Misogynistic music and the lyrics that Pac and others were using. And, you know, anybody who has listened to or in any way knows Tupac, he's not quiet about how he responds to things. And we know that he came back in a very loud way against that. And I think one of the lessons that we're learning now is that as Black people, before we call out, it's important to call in. It's important to have conversations and say, what is it that you're trying to say? And there are some who did that, who invited Pac and others over to their homes and said, what is it that you're trying to say? And why are you angry? And how can we have these conversations? And I think that we learned a lesson. Dominique, I don't know if you want to share, but that lesson that we learned, what was that, 2016, when we had that meeting at Cedric's house where there were folks like T.I. and we talked to The Game and others about, you know, we need to have conversations, and it really helped us move forward more collectively rather than coming at each other.
Yeah, I mean, we just have about 30 seconds before news, traffic, and sports, so maybe we'll talk about it a little more after. But Cedric the Entertainer convened a meeting along with Omar Epps and Keisha Epps and Megan Good, those were the organizers, to talk about Black Lives Matter and talk about the police killing of Black people. This was, like you said, in 2016. They called me to moderate it. And I asked, who's the panel? They had some interesting folks. I said, do you have anybody from Black Lives Matter? They said, no. I said, but can you recommend someone? I said, I got somebody for you. But it was about going directly to the source and having real dialogue rather than making assumptions and allowing the media to filter our thoughts about one another and our movement. News, traffic, sports, then more on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. The House Rules Committee is advancing a bill to raise the federal debt ceiling. The House is expected to vote on that bill today, and there will also be a debate on the House floor as the legislation continues to face opposition from both Republicans and Democrats. In Mississippi, attorneys representing the family of an 11-year-old boy who was shot by an Indianola police officer have filed a federal lawsuit against the city. Attorney Carlos Moore announced Tuesday that the suit is seeking more than $5 million in damages on behalf of African-American Adarian Murray, who was shot by Officer Greg Capers on May 20th after the child called 911 on behalf of his mother. The suit claims the city of Indianola failed to properly train the officer and that Capers should be fired. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Ready to take control of your phone plan? Well, then you better take that next turn to a Verizon store. Because my plan from Verizon is the kind of control we all deserve. Get exactly what you want. Only pay for what you need. Get my plan at your Verizon store today.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
For those of you who think coaching will be the difference in the NBA Finals, the advantage clearly goes to the Miami Heat. Heat coach Eric Spoelstra is getting ready for his 6th NBA Finals during 15 years as the Heat head coach. 2 of those appearances resulted in a championship with LeBron, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. This is the first time around for Denver coach Mike Malone and the Nuggets franchise. Game 1 is Thursday night in Denver at 5:30 on ABC. Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert is ranked 5th on Sports Illustrated's top 10 list list of NFL quarterbacks heading into the 2023 season. The top 4 ahead of Herbert: Philadelphia's Jalen Hurts, Buffalo's Josh Allen, Joe Burrow of Cincinnati, and Kansas City's Patrick Mahomes at number 1. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader. KBLA Talk 1580. Follow the leader.
If you're not following KBLA Talk 1580 on all of our socials, then you're missing out. Download our app and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcast of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Got your black.
Keep
following the leader. Oh my God. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
Hey LA, keep your utility bills low this summer while making your home the cool place to be. LADWP can help you save hundreds with air conditioner and thermostat rebates, plus free energy-efficient home upgrades and simple tips to help you beat the heat and save money. Visit ladwp.com/cool-LA.
Have you faced discrimination in Los Angeles? The City of LA Civil Rights Department can help. They investigate private sector discrimination in LA City in commerce, education, employment, and housing. If you're facing discrimination, submit a complaint online for free at laisforeveryone.com. That's laisforeveryone.com or call 213-978-1845.
JP Morgan Chase is building on the investments in California and around the country to help close the racial wealth gap and build a more equitable future. As part of JP Morgan Chase commitment, they are taking action to help improve financial wealth and access to banking in the Black community, helping more people open low-cost checking and savings accounts, hosting community seminars with supporting Black-led institutions by building awareness about financial investments, hiring community managers, and opening community center branches like Crenshaw, Inglewood, in downtown LA. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Get the tools to help reach your financial goals. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, we're Tasha,
Kiel,
and Euro from KBLA's Lyric Lounge.
Check us out every Saturday from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. and every Sunday from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m.
Tune in as we break down some of your favorite song lyrics from all genres of music.
From gospel to pop and hip-hop to rock and everything else in between, we cover it all.
So come hang out in the Lyric Lounge with Tasha,
Teal,
and Euro every Saturday afternoon at 4 p.m. and every Sunday at 6 p.m.
Let the music play.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. Thanks for waking up with Dominique DePrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
And my sister friend, she is the director of Black Lives Matter Grassroots, is on with me this morning. Dr. Melina Abdullah, you brought up the conversation from 2016 and connecting the dots with our entertainers, people with so much influence in the pop culture space with activists like yourself. And I think that was a bit of a generous comparison with C Delores Tucker, because for me, the struggle with, and thank you for that question, Ronnie, the struggle with that for me is that a lot of these folks are not, they're coming from a conservative place. They're not necessarily coming from a love of, well, I shouldn't say that. They're coming from their own version of love. But for me, it's a lot of it is respectability politics and censorship and prim and properism. And it's harder for me to respect that, although I understand what you're saying, that she was, you know, there was a lot of conversation. It wasn't just her. I remember, and it still goes on today. But I remember when Black Lives Matter was, you know, protesting the mayor and stuff. I had people calling in, church ladies calling into my show saying they're too harsh. The way they protest is too harsh. They need to be more respectful. And my reply to that is, you protested the way you protested, and they protest the way they protest. And whatever we may think about C Delores Tucker's intentions, I believe Tupac Shakur probably brought more people to the movement or to consciousness than she did in the course of his work and lifetime, his very short lifetime.
Right, and he's still bringing people.
Right.
He's still bringing people. So my point, and let me clarify, is that C Delores Tucker, I want to believe that she was moving from a place of wanting to stand up for Black women and not liking, some of the lyrics that were in hip hop in its golden era, right? I believe that's where she was probably moving from, and she approached it wrong. So when I say we learned, I think that the learning is we do far better when we first try to have conversations with people, especially people in our own community, rather than trying to condemn them. And so one of the ways that we learned is by having that calling in, having that, those conversations. It's one of the reasons that, Pastor Shep is doing this apology tour, that we've kept the lines of communication between Black Lives Matter and the church open. And we don't always, but we're in constant communication instead of condemning each other. I'm not saying everybody is, because I think there are people who do the condemnation thing still, and they did not learn that lesson. But I think that we should learn the lesson of, if we're really about Black people, if we're really about moving forward, then let's come together first and see if we can reach understandings. And if we cannot, then we move.
Right. I'm laughing because, my dad was famous for putting people on blast. And he did it like his takedowns were legendary. And I know that some of those folks he later like reconciled with and had a different dialogue with. And so I try to learn from that too. I'll still do a takedown, but I usually try to take down the policies more than the people because, I can say what you're saying is stupid rather than saying you are stupid. And that seems to work a little bit better. But, then there's the where do you draw the line? Because there are some people that do need to be exposed. And, so that we can have a whole conversation about. But instead, let's go to Dwight from the city of Compton. Morning, Dwight.
Good morning, Professor Abdullah. I'd like to thank both of you for all the information you're giving us, and a shout out to all the hardworking postal workers out there, and a happy early birthday to you, Dominique.
Thank you.
And I just want to say that you're so right about whenever I hear Republicans say critical race theory or woke, I know they're getting ready to cover up some white supremacy racism. I mean, right away, that's a tip-off right there. I mean, they take things that are positive, because the opposite of woke, what do they want to be, sleep? And a positive and critical race theory is just exposing the facts. And I'd like to also give an honorable mention to Tulsa, Oklahoma this morning. This was the date in 1921 when white supremacy destroyed Black Wall Street. And it's so sad that whenever we try to do something positive, they destroy that, and if we do something negative, they blow that up on the media. So I just want to get, and this critical, and like you said, Dr. this debt ceiling is just paying our bills from last year. That's all it is. And I heard Jim Clyburn, the congressman from South Carolina, said we need to do away with that system completely. Whatever bills we have, negotiate before we make the bill, and then just pay them. And it's so funny. Trump gave $2 trillion to Republicans as a tax break, which is 40% of America's debt in 4 years. So again, thank you for all the information you guys are giving us, and also an honorable shout out to Tupac for bringing consciousness to hip hop. And just thank KBLA for all the great information you've given us. Thank you, Dominique. And thank you, Professor, for all the great work you and BLMLA are doing to bring attention to the things that are need to be brought attention to. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dwight. You're slinging the numbers about the debt ceiling. You're just bam, 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 bam. I always appreciate you, Dwight, and it's good to hear from you. Do you want to weigh in on anything that our KBLA delegate, Dwight from Compton, mentioned?
Yes, all of that. One, I want to co-sign on everything that he said. That was really, really important information. And as we talk about the one thing I want to zero in on is Black Wall Street and lifting up that horrific anniversary that reminds us that one of the greatest threats to white supremacist patriarchal capitalism has been the economic empowerment of Black people. That I'm sure that when you talk to Dr. Malveaux in the 8 o'clock hour, that she'll talk about the ways in which violence actually, white supremacist violence was actually spurred most, not by what they said, they would say, oh, sexual threats by Black men or what caused this. No, when you look at it, when you look at what caused, the lynchings of the People's Grocery Store owners, it's because of the People's Grocery Store that posed a threat to the white grocery store. And when you look at the bombing of Black Wall Street, it's because Black Wall Street was thriving and white supremacist capitalism saw it as a threat. And so on this anniversary, thank you, Dwight, for lifting it up, that it is the anniversary. May 31st and June 1st were the days of bombing that we're talking about. It really was about Black economic threat, and I think that as we redouble our efforts towards Black empowerment and Black liberation, part of that is also our economic empowerment and resisting white supremacist capitalism.
Mm. Okay, well, when I hear activists talking about a lot of terminology and different things, and I'm trying to remember the exact wording of what you said. White supremacist, patriarchal,
It's white supremacist, patriarchal, heteronormative capitalism.
Okay, so break that down, Professor, because I think a lot that flies by a lot of people and they may not know exactly. I know folks in your circles know what the heck that is, but a lot of us don't.
Right, so it's actually a term, Bell Hooks talks about it in these terms, these interlocking systems of oppression, right? So white supremacy is racial oppression. It's the specific way in which racism exists in this country. There's no such thing as, reverse racism. That doesn't exist. Racism is oppression based on race. The only group that has the power to oppress based on race is white folks. So white supremacy is the precise way that racism works in this country. And then patriarchal, recognizing that men oppress women, right, and that there's gender-based oppression. And then heteronormative, which I've taken the liberty of actually calling it heterosexist, right, the oppression as we move into Pride Month, recognizing that there is oppression of queer and trans folks. And then finally, capitalism, right? Capitalism undergirds this entire system, saying that,
Go ahead, Melina.
Capitalism recognizing that this system is based on the unpaid labor of the worker, and the ownership class is oppressing everybody. So we have to resist what Dr. Malveaux calls predatory capitalism and build new ways of being, Ujamaa ways of being, right? Cooperative economics within Black communities.
Dr. Melina Abdullah and you, plus me, Dominique DePrima, 800-920-1580 is KBLA. Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
If your Medi-Cal is ending, Cover California is here to help. Cover California is a service from the state that helps you get affordable health insurance. In many cases, at no cost to you, just like with Medi-Cal. We have quality health plans, and we'll help you every step of the way to get the one that works for you and your family. So, if you're no longer eligible for Medi-Cal, check out Cover California. We'll keep you covered. Learn more at coveredca.com.
The pandemic may be over, but many Angelinos could be at risk of losing the place they call home. It's important to know your rights as a residential renter in the city of LA. Did you know eviction protection still exists for unpaid COVID-19 rental debt that was due before March 31st, 2023? And that you have 5 days to respond to an eviction notice, also known as an unlawful detainer. Learn more about your rental rights at housing.lacity.org. Be informed, be protected, be at home.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Ray Richardson, your sports connection here at KBLA Talk 1580. Join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough every Saturday night at 7 for Out of Bounds, the show that brings some flavor to the world of sports for 60 minutes. We take you beyond the scores and press conferences. We give you our point of view, the way black folks see what's going down. You can join the conversation and give us your analysis at 1-800-920-1580. Out of Bounds every Saturday night at 7 on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
You like your style, though.
Something new is happening in California's public schools.
They're called community schools.
One of the foundations of community schools is shared decision making,
where parents and families, students and educators make decisions as one.
Community schools lift the voices of folks that have traditionally been underserved.
Many of our classes are designed around our own students' cultures, their background, their personal experiences.
We bring culturally relevant curriculum to the classroom based on what their specific needs are.
Improving student achievement and innovative classes like cybersecurity and gardening.
And we assist families with their needs.
Some schools have parent education programs, cooking and nutrition classes.
Everything from medical or dental services to immigration law services.
This is a one-stop shop that serves the needs of not just the students, but their families as well.
They're California's community schools, reimagining public education. Paid for by the California Teachers Association.
Calling all small business owners, entrepreneurs, and startups. Vermont Slauson Economic Development Corporation is your one-stop shop for the resources and tools you need to take your business to the next level. VSEDC is a community-based nonprofit and CDFI organization recognized for decades of technical and entrepreneurial assistance to South LA small businesses, startups, and entrepreneurs for 40 years. VSEDC provides training workshops and your very own business coach, and these services are all free. That's right, these services are free. Business coaches are standing by at their South LA Business Source Center or their Watts Business Source Center. Visit their website at vsedc.org or call them now at 323-752-2335. That's Vermont Slauson Economic Development Corporation at 323-753-2335.
Heard any other talk radio lately that sounds anything like this? We didn't think so. You're listening to Unapologetically Progressive, KBLA Talk 1580.
I can't have Dr. Melina Abdullah on the mic this morning and not ask about this civil case and the revelations about sheriff's gangs and what we're starting to see in terms of the spin around the deputy gangs. Even Under Sheriff April Tardy, who got on the stand and sort of backed off earlier sworn testimony where she had affirmed a work slowdown by the executioners at the Compton station. This is all part of a lawsuit of one deputy suing, saying that Larry Waldy is his name, saying that he didn't get promoted because he was retaliated against for not promoting a member of the executioner. Now, I feel like they're moving into this new era of spin. Now she's saying, well, a slowdown didn't really happen. And you got people showing their tattoos and saying the group doesn't really have a name and maybe it's just a social club and not really a gang. What do you make of this?
I mean, I think that we have to uplift the groundbreaking reporting that people like Cerise Castle have been doing, right? That is exposing these deputy gangs. You know, there's all of this, there's a lot to unpack, but bottom line, tattoos have been shown in court, right? People are admitting that they're members of the executioners, the Linwood Vikings, the 3,000 boys are being exposed by parents like the mother of Jelani Lovett. And Sister Helen Jones, of course, will be celebrated tomorrow night by the ACLU for her work for the last, since I guess 2009, she's been doing this work. And so we have to, we always say when we fight, we win, and we don't always know what that looks like. But the fact that almost everybody knows that there are sheriff's gangs within the LA sheriff's departments is a huge win. I think there's going to be constant and continuous information that comes out. And I know that Therese Castle is collecting more information. And this is what we talk about when we talk about real investigative reporting, right? So Therese Castle is asking for people who've had experiences with these sheriff's gangs to come forward, because only by telling the truth do we expose their lives. So we're encouraging folks to, especially if they've had issues in Compton with the Compton executioners, to come forward. So there's a website. I know some of the listeners who've called in even are from Compton, bit.ly/Compton LASD survey, or there's a phone number, 909-653-2896, 909-653-2896, to talk about any experiences that you've had with sheriff gangs, because there's this federal suit, there's this suit happening, but there's also ongoing exposure. The more information we get from community, the more we can expose them, and the more that we can end the practice of sheriff's gangs. Yeah,
and when we come forward, I want to go a little bit into this idea that Sheriff Luna ordered all the sheriff's gang members to show their tattoos, and now, right on theme with your Wednesday protests, the union, the sheriff's or association, whatever it is, cartel, is suing, saying that is a violation of their rights as workers. You don't have to say whether you're in a gang. I want to get your thoughts on that when we come forward. Go figure. KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
Mom's early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
And when I left the oven on, we decided together that it was time to see a doctor and make a plan.
Early detection gave us more time to seek out information and support as a family.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
We begin top story with late-breaking news. Is it going to succeed, yes or no?
I think it's going to succeed. It's going to succeed.
Can you believe it?
Y'all did it!
KBLA Talk 1580 is about to celebrate its second anniversary on Juneteenth, and no terrible twos around here. We couldn't be more excited about all the good news we'll be announcing soon, including the launch of some new shows to keep giving you more of what you've been looking for.
Come on!
Smart radio for smart people. Hey, it's our celebration, but you get all the gifts. We'll be giving away fresh merch, swag bags, and a chance for you to join the private invitation-only, star-studded music and dance till you drop, food and drink galore second anniversary celebration. To stay in the know about the second anniversary details, download the KBLA Talk 1580 app right now. Don't miss out on your chance to be a winner. At KBLA Talk 1580, when we come forward, we're bringing everybody with us.
Happy anniversary, KBLA!
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate loses and love wins.
So, Dr. Melina Abdullah, today is the day, and police associations, you guys are demanding that they be removed from the House of Labor. Thought it was entirely illustrative of what you're talking about, the fact that the Sheriff's Deputy Association is trying to prevent the Sheriff Luna, from seeing the tattoos on deputies.
Yeah, it's astounding that as they violate the rights of Black people and brown people and poor people, and put us in gang databases and call us gang members, that they're the actual gang members, and they're saying exposing their gang affiliation is a violation of their rights. as they're walking around with guns and badges and setting folks up. I just want to drop this name before we go. Jay Burton is still in prison. He was set up by the Linwood executioners in the 1980s. And Brother Jay Burton is still in prison as a result of that setup. And they're saying that being members of these, they want to call them cliques. We know that they're actually gangs. They're saying that they want to invoke their civil rights while they violate ours.
That's amazing.
Again, another reason that we protest. So we hope to see everybody at 4 o'clock today at 1313 West 8th Street as we protest these police associations that, again, cape for the worst of themselves.
I didn't realize this guy Waldy that's suing is supposed to be a member of the Gladiators, and the other guy Juarez. They're both sheriff's deputies, executioners. So if this was the movie Colors, that would be a gang clash, not just a lawsuit, right? I mean, it's rival gangs, right?
They should be rival gangs, but we know the biggest gang is the police themselves, the sheriffs themselves, who are literally all in the same gang. Right?
Yeah, okay. I'll leave that there. But, you can join the protest today, downtown LA, and then there's another one you mentioned at the top of the hour, 8:30 this morning in the criminal courts building, standing with Miss Italy and Richie Sojenko as they fight back against being prosecuted for protesting, which is another troubling trend.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll be there at 8:30 in the morning at 210 West Temple, 7th floor, standing with Miss Italy and Richie, saying we have a right and a sacred duty to protest. And so we're very upset with this new city attorney who has taken to prosecuting protesters.
Yeah, well, we can do a whole other show on that. Remind us how to connect with you and Black Lives Matter Grassroots.
Sure. Please connect with us by following BLM Grassroots on all social media. You can follow Black Lives Matter Los Angeles at BLMLA on Twitter and BLM Los Angeles on Instagram. And, of course, listen to This Is Not a Drill every Saturday morning at 8 o'clock. And save the date, July 15th. We're shutting it down in Africatown, celebrating 10 years of Black Lives Matter.
That's going to be a heck of a party, celebrating struggle, celebrating victory, and also just, I think, really marking the fact that the work goes on and the wins go on.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, Dominique, for all you've done to uplift the struggles as well.
And thank you. Appreciate you stepping in the clutch this morning, Dr. Abdullah. Our Wealth Building Wednesday segment is next, and we are taking your phone calls all day because that's what we do around here. KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. The House Rules Committee is